What do we have here, folks? Yes, indeed, it is LockInfo, and we're going to talk about LockInfo today on iDownload Blog. I know, it's been a long time coming, and really, I just never got around to doing a video walkthrough of LockInfo because I figured, everybody has heard of LockInfo. Everybody's used LockInfo. That's the reason that you jailbroke your iPhone back in the day. But really, there's a lot of people that don't know about LockInfo, and in fact, since iOS 5 has come out, they don't understand how much iOS 5's notification center owes to LockInfo and how many features that we use on a day-to-day basis have actually been inspired by LockInfo. Now, let's just get right down to it. LockInfo, like I was saying, is a precursor to iOS 5's notification center. Now, notice here, this is LockInfo. This is not IntelliScreen X as it may seem to you, but this is actually LockInfo, and it can run on your lock screen, it can run on your home screen, it can run in a notification center style pull-down menu. There's lots of options with LockInfo, and you can see the Twitter. You can compose tweets from LockInfo. It has a Twitter plugin. You can actually view your direct messages, as you can see there. You have RSS feeds that you can access there. So it looks very similar to IntelliScreen X, which is the, I guess you could say, the new kid on the block, and one of the most popular jailbreak tweaks at the current moment right now. But LockInfo does a lot of the same things that IntelliScreen X does, and some things it actually does better, some things it doesn't do better. So we're going to discuss a little bit of that, but this is not a comparison with IntelliScreen X. I'm going to mainly focus on the features that you're going to find with LockInfo. Now, when you go into the settings, you'll notice this. You have basically a documentation setting section, and then you have advanced, and then you have lock screen, home screen, info shade, and notification center. Those are the various areas that the information appears, the LockInfo information appears on. Lock screen, home screen, info shade, and notification center. Then you have plugins, and then you have general and appearance. So under general, you'll notice all these different options here, and we're not going to get into each one of these one by one. Otherwise, this video would be like 50 hours long. But we're just going to do a high-level overview of some of the main features. I'll show you the sections, but we won't talk about everything in depth. Okay, so we have general there, and then you have appearance. And under appearance is where you can select your default themes. So you have classic, dark, light, iOS, and iOS 5. So there's 5 things that come with LockInfo. You have a show behind lock, which is another option. That if there is a lock section defined for LockInfo, you can scroll LockInfo behind it. We'll discuss that. Maybe we'll get into that a little later. You have font size, where you can adjust the font size and the header size for each of the sections on LockInfo. So that is the appearance. Then you have plugins. Now this is really I guess you could say the meat and potatoes of LockInfo. You can get even more plugins by going to get more plugins. You have Lock Weather, which is a native plugin. You have RSS feeds, which I have installed, a native plugin. Things, which is a to-do app, basically, and there's multiple to-do apps. Then you have Twitter native. I have that installed. Clock native, and then weather icon. So there's quite a few additional plugins, and even more that others have made that aren't officially on LockInfo. And then you have all of these here. Now notice what's interesting about this is these are actually notification center widgets that you use in iOS 5, such as SB settings. This is actually a notification center widget, and these act as plugins with LockInfo. And then all your notifications come in with this setting right here. This is where you can set up all your various notifications. You can change the visibility. You can have them on the lock screen, the home screen, or the info shade. So you can see how you can really get some granular control over all the different aspects of your LockInfo setup here. And this is where it really differentiates itself from IntelliScreen X. It's much deeper. It's ridiculously deep. I mean, it's insane. And then you have, like I said, here's one of our plugins, feeds, but you can only set up 4 actual feed URLs. So that kind of pales in comparison to what you would get on IntelliScreen X. I said I wasn't going to make this a comparison video, but it's turning into that. But I just can't help it because they're so similar. Then you have Twitter. Then the thing about this is that it doesn't use iOS 5's built-in Twitter authentication. You actually have to authenticate directly with Twitter, with the Twitter API there. So that's unfortunate, but like I said, you do get like direct messaging and things of that nature, which is really nice. And all these different settings apply directly to the Twitter plugin for LockInfo. So lots of settings there that you can adjust here. But what's also really neat about this is that you have 4 different sections where you can choose where you want and what you want to appear in these various sections here. So you can choose lock screen. You can disable or enable any of those. Here's the lock screen right here. This is the lock screen area. And then you also have home screen, which is interesting. You're not going to have anything like this on IntelliScreen X. Watch this. If I go back out to my home screen, I swipe over, notice that. That is the home screen, which is basically the same thing you would get on your lock screen, except it's on your home screen. You can access it just by swiping to the left right before your spotlight search. And then you have Info Shade, which is an activator-induced, I guess, LockInfo section, which you can get by using Activator. I currently have an Activator action set up for this, I believe. Let's go and check which action we have set up here. Let's find it. Oop, looks like we have a slide-in gesture from the bottom of the screen. So if I just slide in like there, oops, kind of missed it there. It's kind of difficult to do. Right there you go. All right, so if I just slide in like that, that is an Activator gesture. This is the so-called Info Shade, and it basically has the same information. So all the different sections contain the same exact information if you wanted to, but you can customize it for each different section. So you can have certain items in one section, such as the home screen. You can have certain items in another section, such as the lock screen, certain items in Info Shade, and even certain items in Notification Center. Notice Notification Center is actually LockInfo. Notice that? It's not IntelliScreen X, although it looks very similar to IntelliScreen X. It's not IntelliScreen X. This is LockInfo, and of course the Twitter is right there. They're not on separate pages like IntelliScreen X does. Everything's contained on one particular page there. Now notice you also have where you can customize center. You can select a standard notification center, will not make any changes to the default notification center, and then you could have it actually disabled. So if you prefer to use the Info Shade, you can just disable notification center outright. Then you have the advanced section, which really we won't get into too much of that. But folks, LockInfo is insanely deep, as you can see here. You can customize it to just a very, very, very low level degree. It's not high level at all. It's not like IntelliScreen X where it kind of holds your hand through everything. This one is going to require some time investment to get it set up and then looking just like you want it to look. But that's the beauty of LockInfo. It really is for advanced users. Although novices can use it just as well, you're really going to get some in-depth control with LockInfo, and that's really what makes it so special. There's also themes that come with it. You have 5 particular themes here. Let's notice these are actually the default themes here. So we want to go into the individual themes for each section. So for instance, on home screen or lock screen, I can change my theme for just the lock screen. So if I change it to classic or light, it's only going to affect the lock screen. See, it's on light right now. Then I can change that again if I'd like to. I can change it to, I don't know, iOS 5 and then lock it. And it's a little different there, I believe. I didn't really notice too much of a difference. Let's change it. Let's try again. Okay, they're definitely different. Okay, kind of subtle differences there. You'll notice iOS should be, I don't know, kind of, I know dark, definitely. You're going to see the difference there. There you go. So the beauty of this is that you can theme each section. You can theme your lock screen separate from your home screen, separate from your Info Shade. So that is what really separates LockInfo from anything else, and that is why it was the inspiration for iOS 5's Notification Center, because it's just that good. LockInfo can be purchased for $7.99. It does come with a 14-day trial. You can find it on Cydia's ModMyi repo. It has a lot of different notes here in which you can read over for information on how to use it, what it includes. Of course, there's many things that I probably didn't touch on with LockInfo, but it's just that in depth. I don't have time to really go through all these things. We could be sitting here for an hour talking about the various features. Again, we will have a comparison video comparing LockInfo with IntelliScreen X in the near future, but until then, let me know what you think about LockInfo in the comment section. This is Jeff with iDownload Blog.